Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live. There's also a PayPal and crypto link in the info box below this video. Most importantly though, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Zinda, Sebastian, Sleeping Warrior, Ranty Flat Earth, Jose, Eric, Daniel, Chocolate Saiyan and Arwin. Good to have you all.
Yeah, good to be here. Thank you very much.
Yo. Right, let's dispense.
Hello.
Let's dispense with housekeeping. Can we resume from where we were in the last hangout, where we were just getting to step one of the scientific method with regards to Cavendish?
Sure, I'll give a brief summary for the people watching this individually and they haven't been tuned into the last live debate. So basically, at the end of number 650, we had Sebastian asserting that the Cavendish quote-unquote experiment was somehow scientific validity of gravity, and we pointed out that that's not the current scientific, again in quotes, understanding of what we should use and utilise and blame for apparently the attraction that we apparently experience when described in mathematics. So Einsteinian gravity snapped the wand in two, but apparently that's not any problem for the Newtonian gravity that's still being asserted by Sebastian. So we're now at the stage that we're talking about the Cavendish quote-unquote experiment and its lack of a step one in the scientific method, lack of an observed phenomena.
Are you there, Sebastian?
Yes.
So you're a physicist, right?
Well, not quite. Close to my master's, but
you adhere to the scientific method where possible, right?
yes.
So step one of the scientific method is to observe a phenomena or ask a question, correct?
Yes, and in the case of the Cavendish experiment, this is not like you don't start with blindly doing this kind of experiment. The kind of idea comes further back from Newton and Galileo Galilei, and observations that things fall to the ground, and based on that Newton made the assertion, since things tend to fall with the same acceleration if you exclude drag in the air. And then he made the claim that this is one example for a universal force where masses attract each other. And
so
then
what was his independent variable in that experiment?
Well, there is no independent variable there. It's just he observed something, that these bodies were all accelerated at the same rate, independent of their mass.
Do we agree that a scientific experiment must manipulate the independent variable to give an effect to so the dependent variable can be observed? Otherwise, it's not science.
Yeah, okay. If you want to put it like that, then in this case, the thing would be that the thing that you can manipulate, that you can change, is the mass of the object that you're dropping, and it turns out that the rate of acceleration is independent.
So if the mass of the object is changed, wouldn't that then be the cause, mass?
Not sure what you mean with be the cause.
Well, do we need a definition of the independent variable? If you're going to change the mass, that would then be your cause in your scientific experiment, would it not?
I'm actually not quite sure. Can you do you have like a source or something? Because I don't know. Like, we don't use this kind of exact wording with.
Are you kidding me? You want a citation for the definition of an independent variable in a scientific experiment? Are you kidding?
Yeah, or the kind of thing where you say like you need a dependent and independent variable.
All right.
Well, just because I'm just not sure about basically the wording of this. Maybe it's because I learned this in German, so.
So just forgive me. Where is it you're at in this? You're doing a master's degree in physics, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
And you're not familiar with the independent variable and how it must be manipulated by the observer to prove that there's an effect. I mean, I can do this, but I'll be honest, I'm just in the middle of playing Command and Conquer, and I wasn't expecting this to be an issue. If you want me to come out of Command and Conquer to get you the citation, but I would expect a physicist at master's level to understand what an independent variable does in a scientific experiment. And if that's not actually the case, I will come out of it, but I would say that this is terrible for a master's level student in physics to not know this stuff. This is really basic high school stuff.
Sorry, okay, then let's do it differently. Just give me a quick, like, 2-sentence summary of what you understand, like.
No problem.
Or describe an experiment with an independent variable.
No problem. A scientific hypothesis is the expression of a cause and effect relationship. You identify the independent variable and you will manipulate that to prove that there is a cause in your scientific hypothesis. You will also have a null hypothesis and you will also have a alternative hypothesis. And when you successfully formulate your hypothesis, you will then conduct your experiment where you will indeed manipulate your believed cause to prove that there is an effect that you believe is what your hypothesis is claiming. If there's anything that I got wrong there, this is the point to tell me and I can go to the citations.
That sounds okay so far. What would be the independent variable?
Your cause.
Well, you said mass.
Cause. You presumed cause. This is the crux of what's, okay. This is the problem with the.
Okay, then can I think I understand now what you understand with this. But isn't then or at what point do you think the Cavendish experiment doesn't work?
Well,
because
you said that
you identified gravity is like your hypothesis is there's an attractive force between masses.
So that would be
you identified your independent variable as mass.
Hold on a second. Hold on. So you're stating something that we've already gone over. So the magic of that you have just described was snapped into by the bending of space-time. However, if we are to assume that you are correct, that would be an effect, right? Objects of mass attracting one another, that would be an effect, correct?
Yes.
And you would assert that the cause of said effect is gravity, correct?
Yes.
Right, so a cause would be your independent variable, the thing that you presume causes the effect.
No, it wouldn't.
Oh, really? The IV-DV relationship is... Hold on. So literally, as Anthony has asserted, the IV-DV relationship in a hypothesis is beyond you. Are you lying about being at university? Because I would absolutely expect you to understand implicitly the IV and DV relationship if you are studying science. And it seems that you are denying this, which makes me think that you are either lying or you are incompetent and on the wrong course.
Maybe he needs a...
hold on, let me hear his answer.
I don't think I'm on the wrong course. I'm not lying about this, and I was just...
Sorry, you have asked me if it is necessary in a scientific experiment to have an independent variable, your presumed cause. That's the question you have posed to me. So, that makes me a little annoyed because you have claimed that you are a practitioner of science. Well, this is science, and if you don't understand that you have an independent variable, your presumed cause of the effect, then you're either lying about the course you're on or incompetent. There's only those two choices. Because if you are to deny this, you are denying the very essence of hypothesis-driven experimentation.
I'm not sure what you want me to say to this.
I'm asking, are you denying the very nature of hypothesis-driven experimentation, sir? Because to question the need for an independent variable makes your assertion that you understand any of this stuff very questionable indeed.
I agree.
But I didn't question that.
You did.
Oh, really? You said, is
When-
there a need
when
for an
and how did I
independent
say that?
variable?
Sorry,
That
you
was your
must have
question to
misunderstood
me.
Because that's definitely not what I said.
You asked me to give you the definition for an independent variable, and I said to you, I'm in the middle of a game, but if this is a contentious issue for a master's level student of physics, then we have a problem. Do you not remember?
Yes, I do, but I didn't.
Right.
Right, so we are
That's the
definitely
citation.
talking about the independent variable, the presumed cause, in the case of Cavendish, gravity. So, sir, given that you now deny that we need an independent variable in a cause and effect relationship, a presumed cause, then I will ask you this. Your presumed cause in Cavendish, regardless of whether or not you understand the IV-dV relationship in an experiment, is gravity, something you absolutely cannot vary and manipulate. So if you do not at this stage understand the problem with your quasi-experiment based on mathematical formula and multiple variables, then you are not in place here or at university.
Just what I want to say to this is that the thing that you can vary in that experiment that you want to vary is the mass of the objects.
No, sorry. The thing you're trying to vary is your presumed cause, and we established only moments ago that that would be gravity. The effect would be objects of mass attracting one another in the bullshit world of Newtonian Cavendish gravity, superseded by an Einsteinian, as we've already pointed out. However, going down this path of nonsense with Newtonian and Cavendish gravity, the fact remains your observed phenomena is a man-made device, and your independent variable is absolutely not manipulatable by you, the researcher. You cannot manipulate gravity. That would be what you needed for it to be science. An independent variable that you presume is the cause and you vary and manipulate to establish whether or not it is the cause of the effect, even though your effect is a man-made device.
This is the point where you need to concede that you have to manipulate the variable.
Well, the thing that I have to manipulate is, like, I have to be able to change the masses. That
No, that's your effect.
You're not trying to
No,
mass
no,
causes it.
listen, that's your effect. We went through this only moments ago. You're trying to establish the cause of that effect. So you're not going to vary the effect by changing the masses. You're claiming the cause... Shut up! Shut up! You're claiming the cause is gravity. Are you not?
Can I just make...
Are you claiming the cause is gravity, yes or no?
Will you give me a short chance to...
It's a yes or no question. It's a yes or no question. Is your assertion, as made on the previous show, that the cause of this shit is gravity, is that still your assertion, that the cause is gravity? Yes or no?
Massive bodies attract each other.
Yeah, that's an
Yes
effect.
or no?
That's an
Mass is
effect.
the cause
Are you deaf? Are you deaf? That's an effect. You're claiming, or are you not? That's what I'm asking. Are you or are you not still claiming that the cause is gravity? Yes or no?
When you put it like that, yes.
Right. Well, that would be your independent variable in a scientific hypothesis, my friend. And are you capable of varying and manipulating gravity? No. So it fails. It is not science. Do you understand?
Of course I can manipulate gravity. I can change the masses, which changes
Sorry,
the force.
again. The mass attracting the other mass is the effect.
Dependent variable.
Hello? You seem to be confusing or conflating the dependent variable and the independent variable. Again, demonstrating that you do not understand the IV-dV relationship in science. Poor show, sir. Failure if I was testing you. And I am.
I think that it's time that we ask him, does he understand the cause and effect relationship in science?
No, he doesn't. We've established that. He does not understand it.
Why don't you understand this at this level?
I'm pretty sure I do understand it. But
Oh, right. So you
let me
understand that you need
just
an
turn this
independent
around.
variable to
Okay,
vary
let's
and
just
manipulate,
assume I
and
don't
it is your
understand it. Let's
presumed
just
cause
assume
of
I'm
the
stupid
effect.
Let's
and I have-
assume it. Well,
No,
you don't.
I'm willing
You
to.
don't need to assume it. You don't.
Okay, then I'm so stupid. Then please explain to me, or
You're
show
so stupid.
an
You just said it.
experiment that adheres to this to these principles. Like, tell me how you would conduct an experiment.
Yeah, the temperature of the boiling point of water would adhere to the scientific method because you can vary what you believe to be the cause, which would be the temperature, right? That would be an adherence to the scientific method. There's a lot of them out there. Why are you asking these questions if you're at master's level?
What's the independent and dependent variable?
The temperature. You're going to vary the temperature to see whether or not you can put it higher or lower and see whether water will evaporate or boil or whatever. There's loads of ones that you can do.
And
Again,
that's the
Sorry,
again, but
hold on a
you
second.
answer-
Hold
what's
on.
the
Stop.
independent variable?
Sebastian, stop. Why are you quizzing us about our understanding of the scientific method when we are specifically detailing what you claim was proof of an outdated version of this thing called gravity? So you're claiming this. We're not claiming anything. We're not putting any scientific experiments forward. You are. So don't quiz Anthony about what he understands about this. It's your claim. So don't ask him what would prove gravity. You're here to prove it. You're the one who believes in it. So if you want to tell me that it's science, you'll establish an independent and dependent variable in an alternative and a null hypothesis, and you'll hand it over to anybody who can choose to actually perform an experiment to validate or invalidate your presumed cause of the effect. Now, we know what your presumed cause of this effect is: gravity. Unfortunately, you as a researcher, or me as an individual, cannot vary and manipulate gravity. So it's a nonsense. It's not science. So to claim you've got scientific proof of gravity is wrong. You do not. You have a pseudoscience bullshit observation of a man-made device with a mathematical hypothesis. This is not science. Okay?
It's
No, not okay.
conceptual. It's
I'm-
conceptual. Okay.
Yeah, but then how do you explain what you see in the Cavendish experiment? I mean, then there has to be some
Who
explanation.
gives a crap? It's just been claimed as scientific proof of gravity. It's not. I couldn't give a crap what you extrapolate from a circus sideshow with a couple of balls in a shed. If you want to extrapolate your religious belief in gravity from it, that's your bag. But that's all it is, a religious belief based on balls hanging in a shed. Not an observed phenomena, not science. No independent variable, an assumption with mathematics of this thing called gravity. That's not science, okay?
I'm sorry, but I still don't think you get the point.
Excuse me, I don't think you understand what a
bloody.
bloody independent variable is. So don't tell me I don't understand the point. You don't think an independent variable's necessary, and you claim to be at master's level for physics. That makes me think you're lying.
Okay, one more time. I want to know.
Are you an actor, Sebastian?
No, I'm not an actor. I'm not paid opposition or anything.
No, I'm not. You don't have to be paid to be an actor. You could just be
No, I'm also not an
lying,
actor.
It's a polite way of
an
saying
act.
pretender clown.
No, I can even tell you what I'm working on right now in research, but I don't think it's very interesting, and it doesn't really, like, I shouldn't have even said that. Doesn't really change anything about what I want to say.
Doesn't change the fact that you don't understand the IV-DV relationship in a scientific hypothesis.
Imagine I don't know anything about gravity, but I have seen this experiment.
It's not hard to imagine that, to be honest.
Thank you. So imagine that you've seen this experiment that Cavendish conducted with these balls, and what you can clearly see.
I've seen that attraction before, like water molecules.
I'm sorry, what's going on, Sebastian? So basically you're going to sidestep every objection we have for the Cavendish non-scientific experiment that is not scientific proof of gravity, and you're going to continue to assert that it is. Sorry, do you want to acknowledge at least one of our objections? Just see if you've actually listened to anything we've said. Let's see.
I don't want to acknowledge, like, I'm still trying to convince you of this point. So
Well, maybe
I'm
you
not
weren't
could.
listening.
to,
I'm not
You
asking
weren't
that.
listening.
I'm not asking that. I'm asking you perhaps to acknowledge at least one of our objections, just so that we know that you have at least understood our objections before you continue to assert this non-scientific experiment as being proof of gravity, as you seem to be doing again. You seem to be circle jerking back to an assertion that Cavendish proves gravity. So let's imagine that Cavendish is blah, 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 not interested. You don't seem to be acknowledging any of our objections to it. So now I'm asking you to just name one of our objections so far.
one of the objections was that I'm trying to basically prove my effect, which is gravity, and I can't verify.
No. Your effect is not gravity. That's your cause. Your effect is objects of mass attracting one another according to you. So you don't understand what your cause and effect relationship is, as asserted by us on several occasions. So now you are changing the cause and the effect. The effect that you observe is not the cause. Listen! Stop talking! I am berating you. You will be berated. You are now changing the cause and the effect. Your effect is not your cause. Objects of mass attracting one another is not the cause. That would be your assertion of gravity, sir. So let's not get confused and change them around.
Okay.
So you're confused then, right? You've just
No, I just said
them.
I misspoke there. When I said that, I mixed up effect and cause in that one sentence.
Right.
I'm sorry about that.
Well, I understand the Cavendish experiment implicitly. I don't conflate the terms. I don't misunderstand the cause and effect relationship that isn't there. I don't misunderstand this. You do. Yet you seem to be reasserting this nonsense like I should somehow give it credence.
But can you at least concede that then you do not have any explanation for why this experiment works in the way it does?
What
It doesn't
works?
always
It's
work.
not a. So you're literally going to piss it in my face.
Yeah,
Name one of my objections for why I have already explained we do not need to.
Okay, maybe I need to go back a little bit. By it works, I don't mean proves gravity. I just mean.
Then who cares? Then who cares?
Well, scientists care.
Excuse me. So you're here asserting it's proof of gravity, but let's not worry about whether or not it proves gravity and keep talking about it like anybody gives two craps.
Well, because I certainly still believe that, but you don't. So I'm trying to go a little bit in your direction and then find out what you think about it. And
sorry, think about what?
You do.
It's pseudoscience.
Let me just finish.
What? Let's think about it. What? Let's
please.
think about it. Let's have a little belief about it, shall we? Based on your explanation about your belief in it, like I care. It doesn't prove anything. It's not science. It does not establish gravity as the cause of your claimed effect. In fact, the effect that you claim has been superseded by a completely different set of nonsense scientists from practitioners of pseudoscience. So none of what you said here makes any sense, has any validity, or needs any credence whatsoever from me. So please don't reassert it. Please just acknowledge one of the objections we have for why it is not science. Silence.
I don't get why you don't think why you can't just say it's crap and it's not important. It is the physical effect that you can observe.
But you can't manipulate it.
Sorry,
and
you've
you
just done
must
it
be able to
again.
do it.
Absolute retard. It's not an effect. It's the cause. Are you dense? Are you deaf? I've just said this to you in a very stern tone once already. This is not an effect.
That's really nice, but doesn't prove gravity.
Okay, you can drop me from this conversation, but please let me make this one final thing that I want to say about
No,
this.
acknowledge one of our objections. Just one. You haven't conceded a smegging thing. You've not acknowledged any of our objections. Why would I get you to reassert a new point? I want you to acknowledge at least one of our objections so that we understand that you've at least listened to us.
I tried that earlier and you didn't
Yeah, what you did was you substituted a cause for an effect. So, no, you didn't re-summarise your position or in any way summarise our objection. You substituted your cause for your effect. That's not highlighting my objection for its lack of observed phenomena and its lack of any ability to independently to vary and manipulate your independent variable. You haven't acknowledged any of that.
Well, let me just help out, Nathan. He did actually say before that he didn't actually know anything about gravity. So he's actually debating something that he has no research or understanding of anyway.
I think the issue lies with the inability for him to accept and concede that he must manipulate the independent variable or it falls outside of science. That's the crescendo of the point.
Understanding on what an experiment really is.
Well, this is what I'm trying to get to. Like the experiment shows you have these
not an experiment.
You have two large metal balls that are on
He's not listening, Anthony. He's literally not listening to him. He's not listening to a word we said. He's just going to circle jerk us back. Let's stick everyone on mute. So I've asked him probably 5 times to acknowledge one of our points, and he's not. He's now reasserting his point, exactly the same as he is, rumpusing the living daylights out of everybody every single time I ask him for the same thing, which is to acknowledge at least one of our points, which you are refusing point blank to do.
What point do you want me to acknowledge?
Any of them. Not say that you're going to and then misrepresent your current position by substituting your current effect for a cause. Not that, but actually acknowledge one of our points. That's why I stopped you. You see, you seem to employ baller tactics and say, well, I tried to, but you interrupted me. No, what you did was misrepresent your own position and substitute your claimed effect for the new cause, which was gravity, but is now objects of mass attracting one another. So you've switched them around, like I'm not going to notice.
I already conceded that I misspoke in that statement.
Right, so you weren't acknowledging my point. You're not reading back to me one of my objections. All you did was exactly as you've now conceded again. And now you're telling me, oh, I've conceded that. I don't care. Acknowledge one of my objections so that I understand you've at least listened, rather than been sat there waiting for your turn to just reassert your point again.
You want me to concede that I can't manipulate my independent variable.
So it's not smegging science then, dick brain.
Don't you have a rule about not like name calling?
So it is not science then.
Nathan, could I have a
No, I want him to say. Questions? So this is somebody who claims to be going through the education system on this very subject. He needs to now repeat after me. Therefore, it is not science as asserted by you, Sebastian.
And it's not an experiment either.
That's what I mean. It's not science.
Come on, Sebastian, this is your point.
The problem is I don't really get the opportunity to speak anymore. I get interrupted all the time.
We're not interested.
Oh, right. So it's an obfuscation wanker technique where you play the victim rather than concede. As you've just said, you cannot vary your independent variable. Absolute necessity in a scientific experiment. So you're going to concede. This quasi-experiment is not science.
Concede. Come on.
Don't play the bloody victim.
Okay, I'm not playing the victim. If you say that my independent variable is gravity, then yes, I can't manipulate that. But the way that this experiment is usually understood is
it's not an experiment.
Well, it is an experiment if you look at
it's called a machination, Sebastian. It's a machination.
No, hold on. Arwin and Anthony.
That's
right.
Actually science.
It is.
No, it's not. Because
Sebastian,
you're actually failing to vary the thing you're trying to prove.
Correct.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you that. How is that an experiment if you can't vary your variable? I don't.
That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. The thing that you want to vary in that experiment is the mass of the object.
Sorry, that's what you're trying to vary and manipulate by using your presumed cause to cause that effect. You've just done exactly the same thing again. You've substituted the cause and the effect. You're just an arsehole.
No, I'm sorry.
Sorry, you apologised last time. I don't want to hear you apologise when you do the exact same thing again. Do you think you'll slip it by me again? the thing you're trying to cause is the effect, objects of mass attracting one another. And now you're saying, well, I'm just going to change the mass. No, you're claiming that the cause of that is gravity. And if you're claiming that's the cause, that in a scientific experiment is the independent variable.
Come on, you have to concede this if you're a scientist.
No, it's not, because you can't even quantify that. Like, what would, like, the variable is a number with units.
No,
like
excuse me.
or something.
No, a variable is not a smegging number. A variable is not something that you vary in mathematics when you're doing science. You stupid idiot.
I didn't get that last part.
You're a stupid idiot.
No, the part before that.
You are stupid if you think that a variable in science is a mathematical number.
Well, but a variable has to be, I have to be able to quantify a variable.
I don't give a crap about what you do with it afterwards. In science, you are physically going to vary something to cause an effect. Now,
Yes, but
what
then
you
what I
claim
vary,
is the
I need-
cause is gravity. That's what you claim is the cause. So that, if you're claiming science, is the thing you'll vary and manipulate.
No, the cause is the mass.
Sorry, that would be the
Not
effect.
gravity.
That would be the effect. Masses
No, the
attracting
effect
masses,
is
that's
the
the effect that
force
you're
of
trying to
gravity.
cause. Not
No,
the cause.
you're-
Otherwise,
I'm sorry,
your formula, when you put it into an actual scientific hypothesis, would be mass causes mass attracting mass.
No.
So it's not mass then. You're not going to start varying and manipulating the mass when that's actually your cause.
But yeah, of course I'm going to manipulate, I'm going to change the masses to
Oh, right, but that's the effect, isn't it? That's the effect.
Depends on those masses.
That's the effect. So you're varying your independent variable of mass. So not gravity. So mass causes mass attracting mass in your hypothesis. You're an idiot. You're stupid.
No, mass causes...
Yeah, mass causes mass attracting mass. So the effect is mass attracting mass according to you. Your independent variable's mass. So mass causes mass attracting mass. You're an idiot. There's no gravity in that, though, is there? Yeah, dick brain. There's no gravity. So when mass causes mass attracting mass, that's not gravity. So you're going to take your independent variable you presume cause after the fact and just label it gravity. You moron. You are stupid.
I don't even need to have, like, I don't even need to presuppose gravity. I can just put the metal balls there, put a certain amount of, like, weigh them, put them on, and I see that they turn.
So do you think detailing this non-scientific experiment somehow is actually repeating one of our objections back to us, which I've asked you about 10 times to do, but it seems that you've got the typical ball ahead tactic of ignoring every objection we raise.
Okay,
And ploughing on. So now you're back to detailing this quasi-experiment. Totally ignoring our objections still.
Yeah, because I still haven't gotten through to the point that I actually want to make in all this time.
Yeah, you manufacturing a contraption and then something happens with that contraption that you create. It's a circus show, man.
Yeah, in science, they're exclusively interested in the physical and natural world. Natural phenomena. That's where we started. This has no observed phenomena. The thing you're observing is torsion bar twist. That's not a naturally occurring phenomena, you idiot.
So, Sebastian,
Yes, it is. If you twist...
Oh, sorry. It is, according to Dick Brain here, Sebastian, who's starting to piss me off, frankly. So where in nature do we observe torsion bar twist? Don't sigh, you stupid muppet. Where in nature do we observe the naturally occurring phenomena of torsion bar twist, you stupid muppet? Hello? Where in nature do we observe the naturally occurring phenomena of torsion bar twist, you complete muppet? Where?
Look, if you continue to insult me like this...
Yeah, because you're a muppet. Do you think that torsion bar twist is a natural phenomena? You utter retard.
can I get a word in, Nath? Sebastian, you seem like a clever fella, right? You've obviously looked into this experiment, etc. But you've joined the flat Earth debates. So can I just ask you a couple of questions? Do you know what the circumference of the Earth is?
like not off the top of my head, 6,000 something kilometers.
What? The
The
circumference?
is
6,000? That's
radius.
so fucking far off.
So
I think-
why don't you know the
I think
circumference?
That's the supposed radius, right? Or something.
Yes, that's the radius. I'm sorry.
Okay, right. That's all I really needed to know. Thank you very much.
Right. Well, at least you're not Laurie. Laurie.
So, Sebastian, let's go back to the principle that you're getting wrong. Do we agree or not that you have to manipulate the independent variable to prove your effect?
Yes, I agree with that.
Right. So how are you going to manipulate your gravity that you claim is what you're testing for?
Well, that's the point where it seems like I think we have to just agree to disagree because I
No,
can't
this is the
convince
point where you accept that it's not science.
Well, no, it's the point where I say what I have to manipulate is the mass to show that the force depends on the size
No,
of the
you have to
masses.
manipulate the independent variable, the thing you're proving. That's science.
Yeah, you
So if you're
presumed
not going to
cause.
manipulate
Can't
gravity,
sidestep.
if you're not going to
Presumed cause
manipulate
is
gravity,
gravity.
it
That's
means
the
that
thing
you're
you're
not
trying to
complying with
prove.
science.
Your presumed cause. Hello, your independent variable
I'm not
is your
sure- I'm not
presumed
sure
cause.
how I can explain this any different. When
You're
I
not
change
I know
explaining
your
it to us. We
dilemma,
understand
but
it.
that
You're
dilemma
not
when I
educating
you
us.
enable.
Check out, right, I'm just going to shut them up. This Sebastian asshole thinks he is educating us. What an arrogant piece of shit. You think you're educating me?
I'm shocked
No,
that you're at
not-
master's
I'm not
level and you don't
I've
realise.
heard
I'm
the
trying to-
dilemma before. It's an excuse. It's not actually a good reason. You have to figure that out.
What, Sebastian?
Sebastian?
What is the consequence if you perform an experiment but you don't manipulate your independent variable? What's that called?
Well, that wouldn't be a real experiment. I'm not
So
debating
when you're
at
not
that point.
manipulating your independent variable, in this case gravity, yet you claim it to be an experiment, but you've just admitted that it's not an experiment when you fail to do that, what does that then make Cavendish?
Again, this is why I think we should just leave it at that. I'm trying to.
Oh, let's leave it at the point that we absolutely hand you your own arse with your assertion that Cavendish's scientific proof of gravity. Let's just leave it there. No, we're going to tan your hide with this fact indefinitely until you concede that you have a religious belief in a pseudoscience circus show.
Sebastian, can I ask you a question?
That was the power of silence.
I-
Ruining their chocolate. Well done.
I'm sorry, but I'm trying to ask this guy a question because I'm trying to understand where he's coming from with this. Right? Let's take Cavendish. Right? Cavendish was the guy who hung balls in his shed and assumed there was gravity in between them. Right? That's what he was trying. Right. Okay. So, in that experiment, right? How did he vary gravity?
He changed the masses, so he put different metal balls on this torsion handle, and the amount that the torsion handle turned was greater when the masses were greater. And then you can choose a wide variety of masses, and you can see that the amount of force or the amount of turn that you get on the string is proportional to the mass.
Oh,
Which the
congratulations!
mass-
Congratulations!
varied-
You proved that mass causes an effect on the torsion bar. That's
Right. So
Very
I was just gonna
fascinating.
say, so he varied the mass. He did vary the gravity.
Sorry to interrupt. I gotta drop because the other Jose he wants to come in, so I'm gonna drop and Jose part 2 is gonna come in. Thank you guys.
There's a part 2.
The other thing to consider with Cavendish is what was his hypothesis at the time of the experiment in his paper? What was it that he said that he was testing?
I'm actually not 100% sure about this, but it should have been that he basically tried to test Newton's equation of gravity.
He was trying to weigh the mass of the Earth.
Well, no, yeah, you can also do that, but in
No,
first
that's what he
principle-
did. That's what his claim was. From that, somebody got a little g constant, right? But his experiment that he claims he was doing was to measure the weight or the mass of the Earth.
Hey, Jose,
That's oh, other Jose.
No, but I mean, they're basically like you need some extra information if you want to know the mass of the Earth or want to weigh the Earth from that. But you get the capital G, the gravitational constant, if you take like Newton's
If you lie
formula.
about what's going on, that's
No,
what
you get that anyway. Like you
But you
have
don't
to,
get that anyway. His experiment wasn't to test the gravity of the Earth the way you said it was originally. He was trying to weigh the mass, find out the mass of the Earth. So I don't know why you've got this perception that he was proving gravity. I don't know why you think it's an experiment, and I don't know why you think that changing masses proves anything.
It was all a deduction-based
Correct. It was
machination.
So back
Assuming
to your claim
R,
about
assuming.
let's go back
even
an
G.
hour. Let's go back an hour. You originally stated that gravity was provable by everybody, right? Do you now maintain that position, or do you realize that this is nonsense?
no, I didn't. Sorry, I didn't say that gravity was provable by
You
everybody.
said it's repeated by many people. I say that that's bullshit.
Well, that doesn't mean that that's like. I mean, in principle, anybody. I
Oh,
suppose,
right. So it's not real then. It's hypothetically speaking, it's repeatable by everybody, right?
Yes, and it's. I mean, experiments to like test the value of the gravitational constant have been done and are continuing to this day. You can, if you believed that.
That's not an experiment.
You could
It's an
look up
analysis.
It's just going to
Hey
keep
everyone,
asserting
how's it going?
Hey, Jose.
So my question is, how do they remove all the noise from all the other forces to measure little g or big G, whichever one they're measuring?
Well, for that, I mean, that's actually a really good question because that in fact is not simple. That's not an easy thing to do because you have to be very careful. And the value that Cavendish got originally is pretty good actually for the time, but in terms of what we think now, what we can get in terms of like precision in the value is a lot higher, and you have to make sure you have to use metal balls because you need something that's very dense usually.
Or magnetic, perhaps.
Sorry, what's this? I thought you.
No, this is
sorry,
the point. You have
I'm
to
sorry.
try to control for all of this. You have to be very
My bad.
careful
I'm a bit
that there's
confused.
no charge whatsoever on these guys. You
So
have
in the Cavendish
Is that
experiment,
even
was it
possible?
inside a-
Sorry, what's this
Is it-
value?
when-
What's this value? I thought Cavendish was proving gravity. Now you're talking about some value that's gotten better or something. So was it not proof of gravity? Was it not scientifically proving gravity? Then you seem to be talking about some value. That sounds like something mathematical.
well, the law of gravity that Newton proposed.
What law? What law?
Law. What are you talking about?
Equals minus G m1 m2 over r squared.
No,
Sorry,
an
that's a
equation.
mathematical
There is no
formula.
law of
That's not a
gravity, there's
law.
only a theory of
That's
gravity.
maths. That's a mathematical formula, not a law.
Yes, it is called. I mean, you can. It's not a law like in.
Oh, so let's get it clear. Now he's conceded quickly. I'll shut him up with the rest of his shite. Not a law. Thank you. So let's just hear it repeated.
gravity.
Not a law.
Do you know where Newton's laws came from? Do you know where he put them? Where they come from? Where is his Bible? Where is his citation for his laws?
Well, he doesn't. I mean, many of the laws that he put forth, he proposed them. He made some basic, and that's how science works. He made some basic observations.
Not the question.
Right, no, he put all of his laws there.
This guy's deaf. This guy's literally deaf. That's not the question. Where? Did you hear the where bit?
Principia Mathematica
Finally.
Naturalis, whatever.
Right, do you
I
know
don't
what he said
speak
in the
Latin.
Principia? In the Principia, he said, I make no hypothesis for gravitation. He actually said them words translated from Latin. If you want to cite for that, it's in the Principia, or you can look up what's his name now? Julius Sumner Miller, who cites it as well. I make no hypothesis of gravitation. And that's what his words were. And he's a PhD.
Just read how many times Newton said if in Principia.
Yeah.
Yes, sure. And all that he did could have been rubbish. And that's
Yeah,
why
our
people
point.
like Cavendish went out
What?
and
Yeah,
tried
the way we
to
established
try to
that-
find out if
What are
this
you talking
Sorry,
about?
if you're talking about the cause of things, and you say things like, it may have all been rubbish, Cavendish-Newton gravity specifically is what we're talking about here, the way you would establish whether or not it's rubbish is to validate or invalidate the cause of your effect. That's what science does. Validates or invalidates the cause of an effect. So not at the end of it we can assume that it's just rubbish. If you want to claim this stuff is science, then it's got scientific validity established through systematic experimentation to establish whether or not your presumed cause in your hypothesis is actually the cause or not. And you've not got that for gravity. Not in the slightest. That's what we've been going over. We've gone over it now for about an hour and 10 minutes with you.
I think what we need to do is conclude this point by saying that the one thing that you need to realize in your studies of at master's level of physics is that your independent variable must be manipulated, otherwise it falls outside the scientific method. And if you don't understand that, you shouldn't be on that course, dude. It must be manipulated, otherwise it falls outside of science. It becomes pseudoscience. Do you understand?
I do, and I've said this again and again. We agree completely on that point. We just disagree about, in the case of this experiment, what the cause and what the independent variable is.
He's not gonna not piss it in our face. This is not an. Let's try a different tact. What is an experiment?
That's the question for me.
Yeah.
You keep saying the word experiment. We keep telling you it's not an experiment. So now I'm asking you if you understand what an experiment is.
Should I take the Cavendish experiment or try to take it?
No. I'll try and ask again. What is an experiment?
Okay, I'll try to explain this in my own words. It's basically, in science, you start with some
3
hypothesis.
words.
No.
You have a hypothesis that you want to start with and that you want to test.
It's a 3-word answer. Can I say it, Nathan?
I don't know what you want with the 3-word answer, but please go ahead.
A hypothesis test.
Correct.
Right.
Well, I wanted to explain a little bit more around it, but I can live with that.
No, that's all it is, and it's a hypothesis test. That's all it is.
So, as you've conceded already, Sebastian, if it was an experiment, it would test a hypothesis, and you'd have an independent variable, your presumed cause, and a dependent variable, naturally observed phenomena. It would be formatted with an alternative and a null hypothesis.
Yes.
That would be then tested systematically, that hypothesis which you have formulated in the aforementioned null and alternative formatting with an IV and DV in that hypothesis, that would be validated or invalidated by, guess what? An experiment. So if we're talking about experiments, they are hypothesis tests. And when we look at the hypothesis for Cavendish, what do you know? The observed phenomena, dependent variable, is a man-made device. And the independent variable seems to be consistently switched with the dependent variable when quizzing rather ignorant globeheads like yourself. It starts off as the observed phenomena, mass attracting mass, and quickly becomes the cause, mass. Right? No. You've got lots of holes. You don't have a proof of gravity that's scientifically valid. You have nonsense. A circus sideshow with people weighing balls in a shed and claiming that torsion bar twist is a naturally occurring phenomena, which it's not.
Do you want me to respond to that, or?
Well, respond with what? What are you going to say? Oh, no, actually, we don't need an independent variable in a scientific experiment. I think this is still an experiment. What are you going to say? Either you don't know what an experiment is, or you haven't made the connections yet, despite the fact you claim to be studying this, right? We're complete laymen. You're going through the process of being educated in science, and yet you have asked us whether or not an independent variable is necessary in a hypothesis. Absolutely outrageous.
So we're back to the original point that you don't understand, and you need to understand it. Do you agree that you have to manipulate your independent variable to prove the effect?
Yes.
And in Cavendish, did he manipulate his independent variable, which was gravity in your words? You wanted it to be gravity. Did he manipulate gravity?
He manipulated the mass of the objects, which...
And thus invalidating his experiment, as you call it.
No, then. So, no. Your presumed cause, gravity. Did he manipulate it? No. You manipulate the mass directly. What you're claiming is the effect. Mass attracting mass. An effect. So, not science.
Yeah, not an experiment either. So if you leave today and you call it an experiment in future, and you've been told clearly why it's not an experiment, that makes you a liar. Understand? It wasn't an experiment because he didn't manipulate his variable.
Didn't have a hypothesis test.
Well, I can just reformulate the hypothesis. I can just say, I mean...
You can?
In history.
Awesome. Dude, this guy has the power to completely change science.
Man, it's
no,
great.
I mean, I can do the same experiment and just
not
use
an
the-
experiment.
Not an experiment.
How many
Stop saying
goddamn
it's an
times do we have
experiment.
to tell you? A hypothesis test is not what the Cavendish nonsense pseudoscience sideshow circus test is. It's a nonsense sideshow circus test, not a scientific experiment. When you use the word experiment, it means a hypothesis test. And your hypothesis is if mass, then mass attracting mass. So you've got nonsense.
That's not my hypothesis.
Really? You said you vary the mass. That would mean your mass is your independent variable. And what are you trying to cause? Mass attracting mass. So if mass, mass attracting mass.
No, I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to cause mass attracting mass. I'm trying to cause a force.
Oh, so you're saying you're causing the
precisely for
force.
this experiment, I'm trying
Oh,
to
my
cause-
bad. So you're saying the thing that you're observing, your observed phenomena, is gravity. I'm afraid not, you stupid idiot. It's torsion bar twist. You're not observing gravity, you moron. That's not your observed phenomena. You said it was torsion bar twist. Are you really this stupid?
Well, I'm observing torsion bar twist. That's true.
Yeah, the
but-
phenomena is the thing that you observe. What you're observing, you stupid moron, is torsion bar twist. You utter
Correct.
retard.
No, that's-
Again, as I have stated, this is what morons who have a religious belief in gravity do. They continually conflate and interchange the cause and the effect in their quasi-experiment.
Pseudo experiment.
Yeah,
So
it's not an experiment.
Let's go back to the point. If Cavendish didn't manipulate gravity in his so-called experiment, it falls outside of science and therefore cannot be called an experiment. But you keep referring to it as an experiment, even though we've just demonstrated it doesn't comply with the scientific experiment, the scientific method. So what are we going to do with Cavendish? Are we going to reassert that it's an experiment, or are we going to put it where it belongs, into the bin of pseudoscience?
Not only are you missing the independent variable, but you're missing your first step of the scientific method, which is observe a natural phenomenon.
Yeah, all of it's wrong. I just wanted to realize that you can't call it an experiment unless it complies with the scientific method, and we've
Gonna leave
demonstrated
these guys in amidst the non-stop obfuscation that we get from Sebastian here and have had for the last hour or so. And I'm going to say, first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. If you hated the show, then smash the dislike button, but then smash it again. But if you like the show, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you've not done so already. Over on my second channel, starting shortly, will be the show that was actually aired quite a while ago this morning with Ranty. So that will go out at about 4 PM or when it's finished uploading and processing, which it's just doing now. So tune in, I'll stick a link in the info box. And then later on this evening, I will rebroadcast the pre-show and after show, which we will continue to record now. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!